After the death of a 5-year-old child who was attacked by a pack of dogs and more reports of stray dog bites from different areas, an emergency meeting has been called to devise an action plan with city ministers and all wings of the municipal administration of Hyderabad. Let's go across to Uma Sudhir for more on this. And Uma, it was absolutely shocking. In fact, it shocked the nation, the death of that 5-year-old child who was surrounded by stray dogs, and we all saw that footage. And now the administration wanting to take action. Tell us what's happened since then and today this emergency meeting.
After the incident of the 5-year-old child who was mauled and killed by a pack of dogs on Sunday, there have been more incidents that have been reported. Another 4-year-old child escaped being attacked by this pack of dogs. He was, of course, injured in his legs and in his back, but his family managed to save him, and multiple incidents. And that's not surprising because even otherwise, the figures show that in 2022, there were about 80,000 dog bite incidents that were reported in Hyderabad alone. But the administration is saying that this is, in fact, 50% down from 2019. 2021 and 2020 cannot be counted because they were COVID lockdown years when the animal-human conflict was at a minimum. But the numbers have come down is what the administration is claiming. But with this incident, of course, a lot of furor, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear among people. And in communities, you can see they're almost vertically divided with the dog lovers saying that the dogs cannot be kept hungry or cannot be, driven away from there or done away with. Whereas the dog-fearing people saying that feeding the dogs is leading to more problem. Of course, as we know, the Bombay High Court had in fact said that those who are feeding the dogs should take responsibility for them, either adopt them or keep them in their homes or take them to a shelter. But of course, the Supreme Court has stayed it in November of last year, and that is something that's a relief to dog lovers as well, to say that you cannot put the responsibility of stray dogs just on those people who are feeding them. Specifically, what is Hyderabad going to do? They are going to intensify the ABC, which is the Animal Birth Control Program. The government has gone on record to say that there are about 5.5 lakh dogs, stray dogs in Hyderabad alone, and of them 4 lakh of them have already been in fact sterilized. The second issue that they are doing is sensitizing resident welfare associations as well as school kids to say that dogs need to be treated humanely, do not provoke them. If food is provided to them, have a designated place for it and ensure that the dogs don't go hungry. The third one is to say that the administration itself will provide points where water can be provided to these dogs. In areas where there is going to be higher population of dogs, how is that going to be determined? The government is now advised or is coming up with a mobile app through which you can register for the dogs, and the dog owners will have an identity card. And if in certain areas you're finding that the population is higher, then the teams will come in and decide on redistribution of the population. As we all know, dogs tend to be very territorial, and some residents were complaining to us that when dogs are caught, taken to these animal care centers. I must point out that the government in fact has established 5 animal care centers where these dogs are taken care of, they're sterilized, they're given the rabies shot and then sent again. But those residents were complaining that instead of traveling back to the same area where the dogs were brought from, they were being dropped off elsewhere in order to avoid traveling that long distance. And that of course is something that is totally not to be done, because dogs are territorial, and if there is intrusion by other dogs, they tend to get aggressive. There is also, of course, a fight for food that happens in those areas. So those dogs have to be let off in the same areas from where they were in fact picked up. The other point that they are making is that veterinarians who we have spoken to are saying that in February and in September, there is a breeding season, and male dogs sometimes do get aggressive because there is competition for mating as well. And that is times that we need to deal with this situation very, very delicately. And the other point that they are pointing out is that in summers, this time February itself, we are having high temperatures. There is a fight for food, or there is hunger among the dogs, and perhaps ensuring better care for the dogs would also ensure better community living with the dogs, because just moving the dogs away from a locality doesn't help, because other dogs would come and occupy the same area. So other point that they're pointing out is that while GHMC area may be well taken care of, there are municipalities in and around where still garbage is being dumped in the open, meat and other people who are handling them, whether the shops or the traders, they are not to be allowed to dump them in the open, because that does increase the stray population in those areas. So towards that also guidelines have been now issued by the GHMC, and today we are expecting that after the emergency meeting of all the wings put together, there would be very, very easy to follow, stringent guidelines which will take care of the immediate problem as well as the long term. Back to you.
Right.